Happy Valentine's Day. I got this just for you.
Oh, thank you. I love it.
She was the third wheel. Before this story begins, comment third wheel if you have ever been the only single person in a group of couples. Comment felt this if Valentine's Day has ever made you feel invisible. Stay until the end. This story will change how you see yourself. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss a story that hits this close to home. Picture this. You are sitting at the most romantic restaurant in Lagos on Valentine's Day night. Red roses on every table, candles flickering, soft music playing, couples everywhere, laughing, touching, looking at each other like the rest of the world does not exist. And you are sitting right in the middle of all of it. Not with a date, not with a partner, not with anyone who is going to reach across the table and hold your hand tonight. You are sitting between your two best friends and their boyfriends, smiling the biggest smile you have ever smiled in your life, laughing at every joke, nodding at every story, pretending with everything inside you that you are completely, totally, perfectly fine. You are not fine, but nobody at that table knows that, because you are very, very good at pretending. My name is Sade. I am 24 years old, and this is the story of the Valentine's Day that almost broke me. And then, quietly, in a way I never expected, put me back together in a shape I actually liked. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start from the beginning. Sade had two best friends in the world, Amara and Lola. The three of them had been inseparable since university. They had shared one tiny room in their first year, survived the same terrible lecturers, cried over the same exam results, and built the kind of friendship that feels less like choice and more like family. The three of them did everything together. Until this year. Because this year, everything changed. Amara met Chidi in October. Tall, quiet, the kind of man who remembered small details and showed up exactly when you needed him to. Within 2 months, Amara was using the word future in conversations about him, and her eyes had taken on a soft, distant quality that Sade recognized as someone who had found something she had been looking for. Lola had been with Dayo for almost a year. Dayo was loud and funny and generous, the kind of boyfriend who sent flowers to Lola's office on random Tuesdays just because. He made Lola laugh constantly. He made her feel like the most important person in any room. And Sade. Sade had been single for 14 months, since the quiet, undramatic ending of a relationship with a man named Kelechi, who was not bad, but was not right, and who had faded out of her life like a song fades at the end, gradually, then gone. She did not miss Kelechi exactly. She missed what Kelechi had represented. Someone who was hers. Someone who would call when he said he would call. Someone who would look at her the way Chidi looked at Amara and Dayo looked at Lola. She was tired of watching love from the outside. But she would never say that. Not to Amara, not to Lola. Not out loud where it would become real and require dealing with. So when Amara called 2 weeks before Valentine's Day, voice bright with excitement, and said, "Sade, we're doing a group Valentine's dinner. The 6 of us. It will be so fun." Sade said yes before her heart finished its first flinch. Because that was what Sade did. She said yes. She showed up. She smiled. She made it look easy. She was very, very good at making it look easy. The booking was made. Restaurant Echo, a rooftop place in Victoria Island that Sade had never been to but had seen on Instagram too many times. White linen tablecloths, city views, food that cost more than her weekly grocery budget. Amara said Chidi was paying for the whole table as a Valentine surprise. Sade said that was so sweet. She had meant it. She had also felt something cold settle in her stomach that she chose not to examine. She went shopping for an outfit. Spent 3 hours in a mall trying on dresses, which was 2.5 hours longer than any dress shopping trip she had been on before. The problem was not finding something beautiful. She found several beautiful things. The problem was that every dress she tried on, she stood in the changing room and thought, but who will see this? She eventually bought a green dress. Emerald green, fitted, the kind of dress that made her look at her reflection and feel a surprise, almost shy appreciation for herself. She bought it not because someone was going to admire it. She bought it because she admired it. Because for a brief moment in a changing room in a mall, with nobody watching, she looked at herself and thought, "You look stunning." She held on to that feeling. It would need to last her through the whole night. Valentine's Day arrived with the aggressive cheerfulness that it always did. Her phone filled with red heart emojis from the group chat. Amara sent a photo of a gift box Chidi had left outside her door that morning. Perfume, chocolates, and a card that Amara photographed and shared. The handwriting neat and deliberate, and full of specific detail about specific moments. Lola sent a voice note of herself screaming because Dayo had organized a surprise delivery to her workplace. Flowers and a balloon with a bear wearing a t-shirt that said something embarrassingly sweet that made everyone in Lola's office turn and coo and laugh. Sade sent back heart emojis. She stared at her own front door for a moment, quiet, empty. No delivery, no card, no bear in a t-shirt. She made coffee, got dressed, put on her green dress and her best earrings, and a face of makeup that took 45 minutes and deserved to be seen by more than just her bathroom mirror. She looked at herself one final time before leaving. "You look stunning." She held that and went to meet her friends. They arrived at restaurant Echo at 8 p.m. The lift opened onto the rooftop and Sade felt her breath catch because it was genuinely beautiful. The city spread out below them, lights glittering in every direction, the warm night air carrying the sound of music from somewhere below. The restaurant was dressed in roses and candlelight and the particular golden glow that only exists in places designed for making memories. Chidi and Dayo were already there. They stood when the women arrived, which Sade thought was a gesture so quietly elegant that she noted it instinctively, like the way you note things you want to remember. Chidi pulled out Amara's chair. Dayo kissed Lola on the forehead. Small gestures, unremarkable gestures. Gestures that made Sade's chest do something complicated that she immediately pressed down. She sat down, smiled, picked up the menu. "This is so beautiful," she said. She meant it. "Chidi found it," Amara said, looking at him with that soft expression. "It keeps getting written up online," Chidi said, modest about it. "I thought it looked like somewhere worth experiencing." Dayo ordered champagne. 4 glasses arrived on a silver tray. 4, not 5. And Sade watched the waiter set them down with the automatic math of a man who had seen the configuration and counted accordingly. And she smiled at him when he looked her way and said, "Could I also have a glass?" And he apologized smoothly and went to get one. It was a small thing, a tiny thing. Nobody else at the table even noticed, but Sade felt it like a paper cut. Small, disproportionately stinging. The champagne arrived. They toasted. Valentine's Day, to love, to this city, to good food. Everyone clinked glasses. Sade clinked hers with everyone else's and drank and smiled and was fine. The evening moved the way these evenings move. Food arrived in courses, each more beautiful than the last. Conversation flowed. They talked about work, about the city, about a film they had all seen recently and disagreed about. Sade was present. She was funny, genuinely funny, the kind of funny that makes people laugh and look at you with appreciation. She told a story about a nightmare client that had the whole table leaning in. She made Chidi laugh so hard that he had to put his fork down. And he looked at her afterwards and said, "Sade, you are something else." And she felt a flare of warmth at that. But then, Dayo took out the gift. He had been waiting for the right moment. She could see that. He had been sitting on it all evening, restless with it, the particular energy of someone with a secret they are delighted to reveal. When the main course plates were cleared, he reached under the table and produced a small velvet box and placed it in front of Lola. The table went still. Lola's hands flew to her mouth. It was not a ring, Sade understood, because Lola had told her once that Dayo had said he would ask properly, on one knee, not over dinner. But it was a bracelet, gold, delicate, with a small charm that was the first letter of Lola's name. "You have made every day better for 11 months, Dayo said, simply, quietly. "I just wanted you to know I notice." Lola cried. Happy tears, instant and unstoppable. Amara made a sound of delight and reached across to squeeze Lola's arm. Dayo raised his glass in Dayo's direction. Sade smiled. She watched Lola's face, the pure, uncomplicated joy of it. The way she looked at Dayo as if he had just handed her something she had forgotten she was waiting for. And then she looked down at her own hands in her lap for just a moment, and she thought, will anyone ever look at me like that? It was a brief thought. She pushed it away quickly, but it left a mark. After dinner, Dayo suggested they move to the bar area of the rooftop for drinks. They found a corner with low sofas and the best view of the city and settled in. The couple sat close to each other, the unconscious proximity of people who are used to touching. Sade sat slightly apart. Not by anyone's design. There was simply no one who was naturally, instinctively going to close the gap between themselves and her. She had her drink. She was fine. She took out her phone to have something to do with her hands. Instagram was, predictably, a Valentine's Day exhibition. Every person she followed had apparently decided that tonight was the night to document.
Was that too much to want? Was she wanting the wrong things? Was something about her, some fundamental quality, some invisible inadequacy, making her unattractive to exactly the kind of love she was looking for? Chioma's question from the story she had read somewhere floated back to her unbidden. Do you ever feel like something is wrong with you? Yes, Sade thought, standing in a beautiful bathroom in a beautiful restaurant on Valentine's night. Sometimes I do. She splashed water on her face, careful of the makeup, straightened up, looked at herself one more time. You came out tonight, you put on this dress, you showed up. That is not nothing. She went back to the table. Pause the story for 1 second. If you have ever excused yourself to the bathroom just to breathe on a night that was supposed to be fun, comment bathroom break below. You are not the only one. The best part of this story is still coming. Keep watching. The second half of the evening brought the thing Sade had been quietly dreading all night, the dancing. There was a small open area near the bar where a few couples had begun to move slowly to the music. Dayo stood, extended his hand to Lola, and she took it without hesitation. Chidi raised an eyebrow at Amara, a silent question, a private language, and she answered it by standing. They moved to the dance floor together. And Sade was left alone at the table. She watched them from her sofa, her 4 favorite people in the world, paired off perfectly, moving slowly under the warm lights of a rooftop restaurant while the city glittered below, and the music said something about love that Sade did not want to hear translated right now. She picked up her drink, put it down, picked up her phone, put it down. She was fine. She was completely fine. A couple nearby was taking photos. The woman kept laughing and repositioning, and the man kept saying, "No, that one was perfect, I'm telling you." And the woman kept shaking her head and saying, "One more, just one more." And they were so easy with each other, so comfortable, so entirely inside their own small world, that Sade felt like a ghost watching a scene from a life she had not been cast in. She thought, suddenly and with great clarity, I need to leave. Not dramatically, not in tears, just she needed to not be here anymore. She needed to be somewhere that was not a Valentine's Day rooftop restaurant, surrounded by love she could not participate in, holding a drink she did not want, smiling a smile that was costing her more than anyone would ever know. She picked up her bag. She was going to go to her friends, tell them she had a headache, say goodnight, order a car, go home, take off this beautiful dress, and allow herself to feel whatever needed to be felt in the privacy of her own apartment. She stood up. She turned and walked directly into an older woman carrying 2 glasses of wine, one of which went completely down the front of Sade's emerald green dress. The woman gasped, "My God, I am so sorry." It's fine, Sade heard herself say, automatic and calm, while wine soaked through the fabric against her stomach, cold, immediate, completely undeniable. The woman was mortified, calling for a waiter, reaching for napkins, apologizing in rapid, genuine distress. Sade kept saying it was fine. She did not know if it was fine. The dress was probably ruined. The dress she had spent 3 hours finding. The dress she had bought because she admired herself in it. The dress that was supposed to carry her through a night that was already costing her more than she had budgeted for emotionally. The waiter arrived with a cloth. Amara appeared at Sade's side. She had seen from the dance floor, had immediately come, and began to help blot the dress. "Sade, I'm so sorry. Are you okay?" "I'm fine," Sade said, for the 9th time that evening. "You don't look fine," Amara said, and the gentleness in her voice was the wrong thing at the wrong moment, because Sade had been managing fine as long as everyone believed it, and the moment someone looked at her with concern and said, "You don't look fine," the whole structure of it became suddenly fragile. "I need a minute," Sade said. She went to the bathroom again. The same beautiful mirror, the same warm light, but this time she looked different. Wine-stained dress, makeup still intact by some miracle, eyes that were no longer just flat but were doing something more dangerous, glassing over, filling with the particular pressure of tears that have been held back for too long and have run out of patience. She gripped the edge of the sink. She was not going to cry in the bathroom of restaurant Echo on Valentine's Day. She was not. One tear made the decision for her. Then another. She turned on the tap so the sound would cover anything that followed, and she let herself briefly, completely privately fall apart. Not loudly, not dramatically, just the quiet, controlled collapse of someone who has been strung for too long in the wrong direction. Tears and the tap running, and the city light visible through the small bathroom window, and the muffled sound of the music playing outside. She had done everything right tonight. She had shown up, she had dressed up, she had been funny and present and generous. She had smiled at every gift and laughed at every joke and swallowed every moment of loneliness so quickly and efficiently that nobody had tasted it. And she was still here, alone, wine on her dress, crying in a bathroom, while her best friends danced with the people who loved them. What was she doing wrong? That was the real question, wasn't it? The question underneath all the other questions. The one that lived in her chest and came out at night and on Valentine's days, and every time she watched someone else receive the kind of love she had been quietly, desperately, expertly pretending she did not need. What was she doing wrong? She stood there for a long time, letting it move through her. Then, slowly, her breathing steadied. She washed her face, carefully, gently, fixed what could be fixed and left what could not, looked at herself in the mirror one more time. The dress had a stain, her eyes were slightly swollen, her evening had gone sideways in several directions simultaneously. And she was still here, still standing, still dressed, still herself. Something about that felt important. She did not know why yet, but it did. She went back out. Amara was waiting outside the bathroom door. She had not gone back to the dance floor. She had stayed. She looked at Sade's face and did not say anything about the eyes. She just linked her arm through Sade's and said, "Let's go sit somewhere." They found a quieter corner, farther from the dance floor, closer to the railing, with the best view of the city. They sat close together the way they had in that tiny university room 10 years ago, when the world felt too large and the comfort was just the fact of proximity. "You've been holding something all night," Amara said, not a question. Sade looked at the city. "I'm fine, Amara." A pause. Then, "I'm tired, Amara." Her voice came out different than she expected. Softer, more honest. "I'm just tired." Of what? Of pretending I don't feel what I feel. Of sitting in the middle of everyone else's love story and smiling through it like it doesn't touch me at all. I exhaled. I don't want romantic love to be the thing that defines whether I'm okay. I don't want to be the kind of person who falls apart because she's single on one night of the year. She looked at Amara, but I did. I fell apart in the bathroom over a wine-stained dress, and I keep asking myself what I'm doing wrong. Amara was quiet for a moment. Then she said something Sade did not expect. When Chidi and I first started seeing each other, I used to sit in my apartment afterward and feel terrified. Not happy, terrified, because I was so aware of how much I wanted it to work and how completely outside my control that was. I kept thinking, what if I'm too much? What if I'm not enough? What if he wakes up one morning and realizes I'm not what he thought? She paused. Being in a relationship didn't end the question, Sade. It just changed which questions I was asking. She looked at her. I am not saying your pain tonight is not real. it is. What you are feeling is real and it makes sense. But don't make the mistake I used to make. Don't look at what I have and assume the inside of it looks like the outside. Is everything okay with you and Chidi? Yes, tonight, yes. But we had a fight last week that scared me, genuinely scared me, because I saw how easy it was for this thing I love to just break. And that fear lives in me now alongside the love. She looked at Sade steadily. You are not broken, Sade. You are not wrong. You are not someone who has been passed over because she lacks something. You are someone who has not yet met the right person. That is the whole truth of it. And until that person arrives, you are still whole, right now, as you are, in a wine-stained dress with your mascara slightly smudged at one of the best rooftop restaurants in this city on a night that tried to make you feel small and failed. Sade looked at her best friend. You are not the third wheel, Amara said quietly. You are a whole wheel. You just haven't found what you are attached to yet. Something in Sade's chest shifted. Not dramatically, not with music swelling, just a small, quiet rearrangement, like furniture that has been slightly wrong for a long time, moved 6 inches to the left, and suddenly the room breathes better. Sade looked at the city. All those lights, all those lives, all those people in their apartments and restaurants and cars and rooftops carrying their questions and their longings and their private victories and their private griefs. All of them wanting something. All of them managing the distance between what they had and what they hoped for. She was not the only one. She had never been the only one. What time is it? Sade asked. Amara checked her phone. 11:15. Sade stood up, smooth headdress, wine stain and all, and held out her hand. Dance with me, she said. Amara was surprised. Then she smiled, her real smile, the one that had been the same since they were 18, and took Sade's hand. They went to the dance floor. Lola saw them come in and immediately reached for Sade's other hand. And for a few minutes, the three of them danced together. No couples, no configuration, no politics of pairing.
And she let herself feel it, without diminishing it, without measuring it against something else, without telling herself it was less than. She let it be enough. Because it was enough. It was so much more than enough. When they finally left, past midnight, the city still alive with the last of Valentine's night, Sade waited for her car alone while the others said their extended goodbyes. She stood at the edge of the pavement, the warm night on her face, the wine stain on her dress, and she felt something she had not expected to feel tonight. She felt okay. Not performed okay, not held together okay, actually okay. The quiet, grounded okay of someone who has been through something and come out the other side still themselves. Her car arrived, she got in. The driver had a radio playing low, one of those late-night Lagos stations that played old love songs between the hours of 11 and 2. A song she recognized without knowing its name. Something slow and tender about the long way round to the right place. She looked out the window at the city moving past. She thought about what Amara had said. You are a whole wheel. You just haven't found what you're attached to yet. She thought about the woman who had spilled wine on her, who had been so genuinely distressed, so earnestly apologetic, who had found her before she left and pressed her card in her hand and said, please send me your dry cleaning bill. I insist. A stranger, concerned about her. The care of a stranger. That was also love, wasn't it? In its smallest, most ordinary form. She thought about the waiter who had brought the extra champagne glass without being asked twice. About Chidi, who paid for the whole table without ceremony. About Lola's face when she opened the bracelet, the pure, uncomplicated joy of feeling noticed. About Dayo, who had noticed for 11 months, consistently, in ways large and small. She thought about what she wanted. Not abstractly, specifically. Not just someone who noticed. Someone who showed up. Someone who looked at her the way Amara had looked at her on that rooftop, with clear eyes and honest words, and no obligation to say what she said, except that it was true, and she wanted Sade to hear it. She had had that tonight. Not from a partner, from a friend. Was that not something? Was that not actually everything? She got home, took off the green dress carefully, with the kind of care you give to something you intend to repair and wear again. Stood in her bathroom and removed her makeup and looked at her face, plain and tired, and somehow tonight more like herself than the made-up version. She sat on her bed. She did not go on Instagram. She sat in the quiet of her own apartment and she thought about the night, not to extract pain from it, not to catalogue its shortcomings, just to look at it honestly, the way you look at something once the emotion has passed and the shape of it becomes clear. She had felt invisible. She had felt left behind. She had cried in a bathroom over a ruined dress. She had sat at a table of people who loved her and felt completely alone. All of that was real. And then she stood up, gone back out, danced on a rooftop with her best friends, let herself be held by the love that was actually present rather than mourning the love that wasn't. That was also real. Both things were true. The loneliness and the belonging, the ache and the gratitude, the empty seat beside her and the hands that had reached for hers. She was 24 years old. She was single. She had been to the most beautiful restaurant in Lagos tonight and she had cried in its bathroom and she had danced on its rooftop and she had come home alone. And she was okay. She was more than okay. She picked up her phone, not Instagram, her notes app. She typed one line. I am not the third wheel. I am a whole wheel. I just haven't found what I am attached to yet. She put her phone down. She thought about next year. She did not know what next Valentine's Day would look like. She did not know if she would be sitting across a table from someone who chose her, or back on that rooftop with Amara and Lola, or somewhere she could not yet imagine. She did not know what the year between now and then would bring. But she knew one thing. She was done waiting for someone else's presence to make her feel whole. She was done attending her own life like an understudy, always prepared for the moment when the real version of herself, the loved, chosen, partnered version, would walk out and take over. This was the real version. This right here, 24 and tired and clear-eyed and in possession of a wine-stained dress and a phone note that was the truest thing she had written in years. She was the real thing, not the draft, not the waiting room, the actual, complete, already enough real thing. She turned off her light. Outside, Lagos hummed on, the way it always did, enormous and indifferent, and full of a million stories all playing simultaneously, every one of them carrying someone who wanted something, someone who was learning something, someone who was sitting alone in the dark and choosing, slowly, to be okay with their own company. Sade closed her eyes. She was sitting between two couples at the most romantic restaurant in Lagos on Valentine's Day. She was smiling the biggest smile she had ever smiled. She was pretending with everything inside her that she was completely, totally, perfectly fine. But here's the thing. By the time the night was over, she did not have to pretend anymore. Because she was. She actually was. And that, of all the things that happened on that Valentine's night, was the one that changed everything. If this story found you, if even one moment made you feel seen, please share it with someone who needs to hear it today. You know exactly who that person is. Like this video, subscribe so you never miss a story like this one. And before you go, tell me in the comments, are you done pretending to be fine? Comment whole wheel if Sade's story hit home. Comment still learning if you are somewhere in the middle of this journey. I read every single one, every single one. This community is built on stories like yours. Drop it below. Let's talk. The end.